here.
Mr. Blumenfield is here, Madam Secretary.
Bradford.
I can see him with my own eyes. Thank you, Mr. Bradford. Ms. Evans, you're presenting on Senate Bill 930. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 930 and SB 60 as well.
SB 60 is not agendized for today.
Oh, I see. It was on the agenda that's posted on the door. So I have witnesses.
Not agendized. No,
not
only
here.
930.
Okay. Excellent. Members, SB 930 will save tens of millions of dollars. This is, you may remember, back in 2009, under Governor Schwarzenegger's leadership, we had, as part of a budget agreement, we had adopted some what were termed as, quote, anti-fraud, unquote, initiatives with respect to the administration of IHSS. They've proved to be very difficult and unworkable and have actually cost the state money and have not saved us any money. This bill would repeal 3 unneeded, unworkable parts of that initiative. 1 would be fingerprinting for all consumers, 2, provider and consumer fingerprints on timesheets, and 3, the prohibition on P.O. boxes. The bill also relates to criminal offender record information and allows a copy of that information to be provided to providers who have been rejected. So this bill overturns what was a very poor policy to begin with and actually will save the state money. I ask for an aye vote.
Very good. Your first witness in support?
Karen Keefer on behalf of the California Association of Public Authorities, and I'm also here for Disability Rights California. We're co-sponsored also with the Service Employees International, California Union of Home Care Workers, and our partner, the United Domestic Workers, and I don't know that other lobbyists could make it, but wanted to make sure that all of the co-sponsors I identified really commend Senator Evans for this effort to repeal bad statutes passed in 2009, and very significantly, the new amendment cures a problem that has trapped hundreds of providers that were wrongfully terminated over confusion in the statute, and will allow the department to rectify those pieces that are people that are caught in appeals. We've really worked hard with the governor's staff, Department of Social Services, Department of Justice, all of our partners. We believe that we have an agreement on language that would work, and we'd ask for your aye vote.
Very good. Next witness in support?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Sawait SGSCUM, United Domestic Workers, AFSCME. We represent 66,000 providers in the state. We are also a co-sponsor of this bill. Karen, pretty much, we want to echo the sentiments that Karen expressed, and also state that we truly believe that had there been a thorough policy discussion on these matters, these provisions would have never seen the light of day. So we urge your support. Thank you.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kathy Sunderling for the County Welfare Directors Association and the California State Association of Counties. We appreciate this bill, which will make the law much more workable for our county IHSS staff to implement. Thank you.
Any additional witnesses in support?
Thank you, Chairman Puentes. Jessica Bartholow, Western Center on Law and Poverty, in support.
Michael Martinez, Deputy Commissioner, Department of Insurance, here on behalf of Insurance Commissioner Dave Jones in strong support of this measure.
Greg DeGier with the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy, a coalition of people with developmental disabilities and the service providers and volunteer advocates, and we support the bill.
Additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Department of Finance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Ken DeRosa with the Department of Finance. IHSS fingerprinting requirements were not included in the 2011 Budget Act, so as a result, this bill would simply align statutory requirements with spending authority.
Very good. Senator Nielsen.
I just must observe this is another attempt that are happening every day here by the dozens of rolling back budget agreements that were made. Somebody didn't like them, and it's bad policy, and it's not. It destroys the trust in the institution. I must say to this young lady, I certainly heartily agree with you, though. Onerous provisions, whatever they may be, like or dislike the onerous provisions, if we had long hearings, meaningful discourse, and analysis, and things didn't hastily happen at the last moment so nobody can review them, this would be a better place. Your point is very well taken.
Members, any additional questions for our author? Ms. Evans, your close.
I would ask for the bill to be sent out of appropriations.
Very good. Thank you. The item is on suspense. We'll be dispensing with the suspense calendar shortly. Senator Pro Tem Steinberg, I saw him in the audience. Very good. Sir, you are presenting. We'll take you out of order on SB 77. Is that right? That's all right. 770, it is.
I want to see who said no. Here.
Seven, 7-0.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for your courtesy and that of your staff and members of the Appropriations Committee. We all say it. This is an important bill. This is an important bill. It is a bill that would provide early intervention, behavioral health treatment for hundreds and thousands of young people with autism to help enable them to have a better life. We have had a series of policy hearings in both the Assembly and the Senate. There is no dispute that behavioral health treatment is now recognized as the single most effective form of healthcare therapy for these disorders. The efficacy of this treatment was underscored by the fact that the Department of Managed Healthcare has executed settlement agreements with Blue Shield and Blue Cross of California. And despite the good faith efforts of all parties that went into those settlement agreements, they're flawed because they don't allow for the provider network that currently provides this therapy to be able to be covered under the settlement. This bill cleans that up and puts into law what the autism advocacy community has been fighting for a long time, to make behavioral health treatment for autism and pervasive developmental disorders a mandate to be covered by California insurers. I would urge an aye vote, and I'm happy to answer any of the committee's questions, of course, about how we got here with this bill at the end of session and the interceding events that led from a first thought of maybe waiting to the second year to do this bill to now and the imperative of getting it done now. I'd urge an aye vote by the committee. Thank you very much.
Very good. Your first witness in support. Mr. Bell, are you?
Excuse me. I got Jim Bell here, and I didn't see you sitting there. I'm sorry, Assembly Member.
He's easy to miss.
Jeez, Louise. Don't insult your joint author here. That's Rule 1 here. I want to acknowledge, if I might, Mr. Chairman, Assembly Member Bell, who has a bill on the same subject and has been a champion on these issues for a long time and has agreed to be the principal co-author of this important measure. And if you wouldn't mind to give your colleague just a moment to weigh in on the importance, I'd appreciate it. Jim, of course.
Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg and Mr. Chairman and members. Effectively, we are merging the bill that I presented earlier this year and is now pending your committee, AB 171, with the Senate, and this is a Senate Assembly merger on this issue with Senator Steinberg and Senator Evans. And as you know, I've been an advocate for the issue of people with developmental disabilities for a long time, and have continued to work on that issue as chair of the Human Services Committee of the Assembly. And that's why I'm pleased to be the co-author principal co-author of SB 770. And by providing much needed clarity to our existing mental health parity law, SB 770 will mean that families will no longer face unwarranted stress, frustration, seeking medically necessary behavioral health treatment for their children with autism and related disorders. We need to clarify the existing law to ensure that the settlement agreements that Senator Steinberg referred to are implemented in a way that will achieve their intended purpose. We also need to ensure a statewide uniformity among all health plans and insurance companies. And that's precisely why it's important to move SB 770 forward now. This bill is a positive and collaborative step in the right direction to ensure insurers are doing their fair share to provide medically necessary treatment for Californians with autism and pervasive developmental disorders. The fiscal impact is positive, and I join Senator Steinberg and Evans in asking for your support for SB 770. Thank you. Urge an aye vote on this measure.
Very good. Let's go ahead to witnesses in support.
Sit down.
Right.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, esteemed members of the Assembly Appropriations Committee. My name is Ariva Martin, and I am the co-founder and president of Special Needs Network, a nonprofit organization that works on behalf of families who have children with autism and other developmental disabilities, particularly those families that live in underserved communities. I'm also an attorney and, most importantly, a mother of Marty. And Marty's a 12-year-old little boy who has autism. I am here today as a proud co-sponsor of SB 770, along with the California Alliance of Autism Organizations, Autism Speaks, and other advocacy groups. In addition to my role as president of Special Needs Network, I also had the pleasure of serving on the Blue Ribbon Commission for Autism with Senator Steinberg, and I now chair the South Los Angeles Regional Task Force for the Senate Select Committee on Autism and Related Disorders. I got all of that out, okay? So I'm just really honored to be here. I've been working on this issue of insurance and insurance for families with autism for over 4 years with the senator and other champions. I can't overstate the importance of providing early intervention therapies for children with autism. Studies have shown that such interventions dramatically improve children's abilities to participate in general education, graduate from high school, attend college, and live independently. These studies also show that by providing early intervention, states realize a substantial reduction in the cost of caring for individuals with autism spectrum disorders. Currently, regional centers, the primary provider of behavioral therapy, spend between $250 and $300 million annually for such treatment. Unfortunately, the regional centers fail to provide the much-needed services to thousands of kids because of the stringent eligibility requirements. And those that are deemed eligible often face a great deal of obstacles in obtaining the services. Over 90% of the independent medical reviewers and all of the major medical associations have determined that behavioral health treatment is a form of medical care that is the standard for treatment of autism. Given this determination, it's only logical that health insurance providers should cover the cost of such services. Unfortunately, today, thousands of kids with health insurance are denied behavior therapies and are forced to live with the symptoms and complexities of autism without treatment. This is indeed a travesty. SB 770 ends this and ensures that children who need behavior therapies get it. It requires health insurance plans to do their fair share. This will not only improve the lives of children, it will also save families thousands of dollars that they're paying out of pocket for services while paying insurance premiums. The cost of SB 770 is minimum in comparison to the substantial savings, which is estimated to be over $100 million. So not only is it the right thing to do in passing SB 770, it's the economically smart thing to do. And I urge that this committee vote in favor of moving SB 770 to a full Assembly vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As we go to the next witness, if we could try not to be repetitive so we can speed the hearing along. Next witness, please.
My name is Lori Unum. I'm also a parent of a child with autism and a lawyer. I'm the Vice President for State Government Affairs at Autism Speaks, which is the nation's largest autism advocacy and research organization. I also teach a law school class on autism and the law. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss this bill. I want to start by publicly expressing my gratitude to our legislative champions and also to the administration for your attention on this issue. The settlement agreements that were negotiated by the DMHC went a long way toward providing much needed care for people with autism, and this bill will go the rest of the way. 2 quick points. One is that Senator Steinberg's bill brings California in line with the majority of states in the country. 27 other states have passed in the last few years autism insurance bills that require coverage for these types of treatments. Second point is that the autism community has also been working at the federal level. We had language added to the essential benefits package requiring coverage for behavioral health treatment. So you're not going out on a limb here by requiring this coverage. This bill will fix the issue with the DMHC settlement agreements. It'll bring you in line with federal law, with other states. So thank you, Assembly Members Bill and Senator Bell and Senator Steinberg and Evans, and I ask you all for your support.
Very good. Next witness in support.
Greg DeGere with the ARC and United Cerebral Palsy. The entire developmental disabilities community, not just the autism community segment of it, is in very strong support of this bill, both because it assists the people with autism and their parents, as you've heard. We also believe that by relieving the cost pressure on the state through the regional centers as the payer of last resort, it'll make a big contribution towards saving the Lanterman Act, preventing the ending of those vital services and supports for people with developmental disabilities. We support the bill.
Very good. Additional witnesses in support. Any witnesses in opposition? Very good. In support?
The line of support here, yes.
All right, very good. Let's begin with support there, and then the folks who are in opposition can make their way to the center table would be great.
Great. Michael Martinez, Deputy Commissioner, Department of Insurance. We are in support of this measure, and we want to thank Senator Steinberg and staff for working on this. We look forward to working on further technical amendments to the bill as hopefully it moves forward. The Department of Insurance identifies no costs in the implementation of this measure. As one of California's 2 health insurance regulators, the Department of Insurance is charged in enforcing California's Mental Health Parity Act to ensure that insurance companies are in full compliance of this landmark act. The Department of Insurance is unequivocal in its conclusion as a matter of law that behavioral health treatment, including applied behavioral analysis therapy, is medical treatment which is highly effective for individuals with pervasive developmental disorder or autism and is therefore viewed as treatment that, when medically necessary, is mandated under California's existing Mental Health Services Parity Act. And so we feel that SB 770, we support it. We feel it is necessary to reconfirm existing law, current law, which is otherwise being disregarded by insurers and plans to the detriment of patients and their families. So therefore, we ask for your support. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members, Dwight Hanson with the California Disability Services Association and Statewide Association of Providers in strong support of this measure for all the policy reasons given, but perhaps because this is the fiscal committee, this has significant improvement benefits to the state budget, which we all know we need to have. This industry is facing a potential $100 million cut in January if we don't have sufficient revenue. These kind of measures, which place the cost where they belong on the insurance coverage for those who are already paying premiums, is exactly the right direction to go. We support the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, Jim Gross on behalf of the California Association of Applied Behavior Analysis, which is the trade association, professional organization for the nationally certified and recognized providers of ABA services, and on behalf of the Behavior Analysis Certification Board, which is the national entity that does certify these providers. We strongly support this bill. We very much appreciate the work of Senator Steinberg and of his staff, particularly Dr. Vizmara. We ask for your support.
Mr. Chairman and members, Rick Rollins, representing the Association of Regional Center Agencies, the not-for-profit organizations that serve over 160,000 people with developmental disabilities here in California. We strongly support this measure, and as a parent as well, I strongly support this measure. Thank you.
Hi, Kristen Jacobson, representing the Alliance of California Autism Organizations, which represents more than 40 autism groups around the state, including many around here. A proud co-sponsor of the bill, and we sincerely urge your support. Thank you. Oh, and a proud parent.
Randy Knott, private citizen representing Presley Knott, a little boy who we were told would never speak, never potty train. We should set up a supported living account. Thanks to early intervention, ABA, and the services we received, the very expensive ones through the regional center, he's fully mainstreamed. He will live on his own and have just as full a life. In full support of the bill. Thank you, Senator Steinberg and Assemblymember Bell.
Mr. Chairman and members, Tim Shannon representing the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. We wholly support the intent of this bill, which is to provide insurance coverage for these services. We do have some amendments we're requesting. We want to ensure that the providers, the qualified providers, are fully trained and experienced and have appropriate oversight as the other psychotherapist licensees do. Thank you.
My name is Tara Delaney. I am an executive director of a not-for-profit clinic that provides services for children with autism. I'm here as representing the American Occupational Therapy Association and the California Occupational Therapy Association. We would like to say that we are supporting, if amended, SB 770. We are concerned about some of the broad language for behavioral health treatment that may limit access to consumers in the state of California. Again, we are in support if amended, and we are here to work with the Senate committee and Senator Steinberg and his staff on this bill. Thank you so much.
Amanda Levy on behalf of the California Psychological Association. We're in the same boat, support if amended. We absolutely support the intent of the bill. There's certain provisions only allowing diagnosis by a physician, and then also we just want to ensure overall that the ABA structure is narrow enough and that psychologists are not cut out of the process of the good work that they're currently doing. Thank you.
Ignacio Hernandez on behalf of the Consumer Watchdog. We have a support if amended position. I know we've expressed our concerns to the author's office. We do support the substance of the bill. However, the way it's drafted would have a negative impact on those people already experiencing autism and who in the past have tried to gain treatment. There are existing administrative enforcement actions and existing lawsuits currently that were brought on behalf of patients to ensure that they are covered for their previous treatment. We're concerned that the way this bill is currently drafted would undermine those lawsuits and would leave those patients without the treatment and with the out-of-pocket costs for the treatment that they've already received. It could be extremely expensive for those families. I know we've had the discussion with the author's office. We're hoping that this will be resolved going forward, and if so, we'll be in wholehearted support. Thank you.
Any more members in support? Or, okay, people in opposition, please.
Charles Bakke on behalf of the California Association of Health Plans in opposition to SB 770 today. We appreciate the author's passion and commitment to this issue and the hard work and openness of his staff in listening to our concerns. However, we believe that this bill inappropriately shifts the cost of educational and life skills training and other non-medical services to private payers from the government. These services have historically and appropriately been provided through schools and regional centers to those living with autism. An independent analysis of a bill similar to this estimated that premiums would increase by over $200 million as a result of a similar bill. And we believe that number could be half of what it would really cost. That's several hundred millions of dollars piled on to those Californians who still have jobs in this economy and can afford to purchase health insurance. As this committee is aware, new mandates do put our general fund at risk. According to federal law, the cost of any benefit mandate that exceeds the yet-to-be-determined federal essential health benefits list, the cost of those state mandates must be borne by the state in the exchange. This bill tries to solve that problem by turning the mandate off if the federal government does not include these behavioral treatments in its list of essential health benefits. But the situation that puts us in as plans is that we would be asked, if this bill were to become law, to provide these services to parents and children with autism, and then at some point, 6 months, 4 months, 12 months, 2 years, jerk those services away from parents. But we believe they're going to be extremely angry with us, and they're going to demand their coverage back, regardless of the impacts to the general fund. A point of clarification, we represent 39 health plans. 2 health plans signed settlements with the department pending the outcome of litigation. Those settlements are temporary, so there have been some arguments made that this bill just codifies the settlements. That's not the case. Finally, reference has been made to the other states that have enacted autism benefit mandates. Other states that have done this have included limitations on the services. For example, some states have tied those limitations to the age of the autistic child. Others have placed hard dollar caps on the amount of services. In fact, New York, which recently passed a benefit mandate, included caps on how much could be spent annually on these services. They are very expensive. And they also delayed the implementation date to 2013 in New York. SB 770 doesn't include any of those components that have been done in other states. And for these reasons, we ask for your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other in opposition?
Stephanie Watkins on behalf of the Association of California Life and Health Insurance Companies. We too are opposed to the bill for many of the reasons already stated. We believe that this is a cost shift from the educational services to the health plans. We're also concerned about the idea, such as Mr. Bakke mentioned, that at some point, if the essential benefit package does not include these services or is as expansive as this bill is, that we'll have to notify users that they no longer are eligible for these benefits, which cause a great issue between us and the relationships between us and our consumers. We're also concerned about the licensing agreement and the idea that unlicensed providers will be able to be certified to provide these services, and the potential concern for us is ensuring that there's qualified individuals providing these services. For those reasons, we're also opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marty Fisher on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce, also here in opposition. We're concerned about the cost on employers for this mandate. Health insurance and health coverage is expensive enough, and this will contribute to our challenge of job creation.
Thank you. Any other in opposition? Senator, would you like to close?
Yeah, I'd like to respond, if I might, Madam Vice Chair, just to a couple of the points. The issue of essential benefits and the concern about the federal government not covering behavioral therapy, and therefore the families will be have what they would be given by this bill, have it be taken back. 2 points. Number one, that law does not go into effect until 2014, which is 2 years away. In 2 years, we can intervene in a lot of lives and help a lot of young people and their families. Secondly, we presume that the federal government has their design in terms of how they intend to implement the act in this area. The fact of the matter is, I think it's fair to say they're looking to California. California defines the essential benefits. We may be the 25th state, but we're the largest state. That's going to guide the federal government's determination here. Second point, on the issue, the fundamental issue of is this a medical benefit? You listen to any researcher in this area, any doctor in this area, the great minds from the Mind Institute, and they will tell you that this therapy changes brain activity and changes brain waves in a way that combines chemistry, biology, behavior. This is medical, and it's a cost saver. I'd urge an aye vote.
Thank you. That item's on suspense. Next, what about Ms. Pavley? Senator Pavley? Yeah, okay. Okay, I see we have one item here, and this will be vote item.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Yes, Ms. Vice Chair. First of all, I'd like to say that to the staff and particularly Chair Felipe Fuentes, who isn't here at the moment, I appreciate the good conversation and the meetings we'd have. And I'd like to start off with accepting 2 amendments listed in your analysis as author's amendments. This language will clarify that 1, no enforcement actions shall occur against manufacturers due solely to CEC, that's California Energy Commission delays. So through no fault of their own, they shouldn't be enforced against an action if it's subject to delays by the CEC. And number 2, that no enforcement actions will occur until 60 days after standards are published and 30 days after written notification from the CEC. And I accept both those amendments as the author's amendments on this particular bill. This measure is a common sense measure to ensure that consumers are just getting a fair deal from companies selling energy efficient products and appliances. We want to deliver cost-effective energy savings to consumers. That's the point of the bill. The bill gives the California Energy Commission the ability to enforce energy code violations for appliances and requires the proper permits so that contractors hold the appropriate licenses for the work they perform. This bill has the broad support of business, labor, and environmental organizations. Minimal cost to the CEC has been predicted. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Okay, we had a motion and a second as amended. Do you have any witnesses in support?
Yes, I do.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members. I'm Victoria Rome with the Natural Resources Defense Council. I'll just say briefly that SB 454 ensures better compliance with California's energy efficiency standards, which promotes a level playing field for contractors, builders, and manufacturers who comply with the standards. California's efficiency programs, including codes and standards, have helped to keep per capita electricity consumption flat for the past 35 years, while the rest of the United States has increased by approximately 40%. This bill helps to ensure that the benefits of energy efficiency are fully realized, which is good for our environment and good for our pocketbooks. Urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? If you keep it brief, you've got a motion and a second.
Thank you. Bob Lucas here today on behalf of United Technologies Corporation and a subsidiary Carrier Corporation. UTC Carrier is the world's largest manufacturer of air conditioners, furnaces, heat pumps, etc. We've worked with the California Energy Commission on appliance energy efficiency standards since the 1980s. We support uniform compliance with these standards, and we support uniform enforcement of these standards. We support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Stan Van Vleck, here to remove concerns that we had for the bill on behalf of the heating and air industry. I want to thank the author, the CEC, and the author staff for all their work on this. We appreciate it, and we are now removing any concerns we have for the bill.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? If you could just state your name and affiliation.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chris Walker on behalf of the California Association of Sheet Metal Air Conditioning Contractors, representing 600 contractors statewide. We're in strong support of the bill.
Okay, let's go back to the table. I think we've got two witnesses here. Just briefly, please.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Robin Smutney-Jones here with the California Energy Commission. We're here as technical support for the author.
Okay, thank you. Okay, back at the mic.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jeremy Smith on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council.
Madam Chair, members, Justin Malone for the California League of Conservation Voters in strong support.
Jordan Gomez, the Planning and Conservation League, in strong support.
Mitch Seaman, California Labor Federation, in support.
Chair, members, Rachel O'Brien, on behalf of the U.S. Green Building Council, we are in support.
Thank you. Any witnesses in opposition?
Yes, Madam Chair and members, Kelly Jensen representing the Consumer Electronics Association. We appreciate the amendments that the Appropriations Committee and the author have accepted. However, we feel the bill still does not differentiate between a large appliance, let's say a heating and air conditioning system that's been under a regulatory scheme by the Commission for 20, 30 years, and new products that are coming under the Energy Commission scheme, like televisions and smaller appliances that may not ever get to a $2,500 level of fine in their life, but somehow the Commission is sort of being heavy-handed here as it relates to that. We'd like to continue to work with the author and see if there's ways to reflect that there are different energy usage between a heating and air conditioning system and a television or an external power supply. So, but we do remain opposed to the bill.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in opposition? Would you like to? Oh, DOF, do you have a file?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have no position on the bill at this time. However, we note that the costs would likely be minor and absorbable for the Energy Commission. We've not been privy to the amendments, so based on the prior version of the bill, and however those amendments may change that, the bill doesn't require the Energy Commission to engage in enforcement activities, and as such would not create a cost pressure. However, were they to pursue that, we anticipate that there would be some considerable cost with an enforcement program.
Thank you. Senator, would you like to close? Oh, I'm sorry. Members, I'm sorry. Mr. Solorio.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I do want to commend the author for taking the amendments that you've mentioned. On the issue of the cap for how much the fees could be, I would appreciate if you could continue to work with the opposition on a middle ground. Some good points were made, and if you could explore that, that'd be appreciated. But today I do plan on supporting it, given you've made some very good amendments already.
Thank you. Appreciate
Any
your
other
comment.
members? Mr. Calderon.
Can you respond to the issue that was raised by the opposition? I mean, specifically making the standards more specific, so you can determine more efficient technology from older, less efficient technology. In terms of,
and that may require a more complete discussion that's really in this bill. This is talking about sort of existing standards that are illegal, that people can't advertise and sell them, and the manufacturers, frankly, shouldn't be selling them to the retail establishments. The retailers aren't opposed to this, but given that, I look forward to having a continued conversation with Mr. Jansen to see how we could do this, because right now it's a fine. All it does is enforce existing standards. These aren't establishing new standards. It's forcing existing standards with a fine that's similar to any other fine, up to $2,500, could be very minimal, and they have to take into consideration, it's on page 4 of the bill, A through F, about the nature and seriousness of the violation and also the willfulness of the violation. I think what he's talking about, whether there's a different category because of new technologies and old technologies, it should be looked at. I don't know if this is the vehicle, but I think that's a discussion worth having.
well, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. I mean, the legislature ceded its authority to this commission long after I left and before I came back. And so, for instance, I was just shocked when LCD televisions were banned, and it was done by a regulatory agency. So I want to be more involved as a legislature in terms of the standards that we're going to set. And that's why I'm concerned. That's why I asked the question.
And again, that's a little more broader than the general issue on whether the legislature should be setting the standards or not. The televisions aren't banned; they're just set to require a minimum use of energy. Is the combination. What's been amazing about the Energy Commission background is, as a state in California, we use about the same amount of energy now, even with our growing population, as we did 25 years ago. So just being smarter, because it's cheaper to invest in energy efficiency than build new power plants. I mean, that's just a math sense. Given all that, I think what Mr. Jansen is talking about, whether old technologies and the ways that things should have different standards and newer, the television debate isn't this debate. This debate is about if there are existing standards that the Energy Commission has jurisdiction over, they should also have the ability to enforce those standards that they have adopted.
Okay. Well, I think this is the bill to deal with this. And as it relates to LCD TVs, I just want you to know personally, I don't mess with my television.
Duly noted. We can carve out a Chuck Calderon exemption. Is that what we're asking for?
Don't mess with my TV.
Especially on, Sunday football games or what's?
Thank you. We have Mr. Blumenfeld, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank the author for bringing this forward, and I know you're going to work with the opponents, but I just think it's really important to note that the whole point of having standards is that they get enforceable in some way, and we've all had products that are supposed to meet a standard. I can't tell you how many LCD light bulbs that are supposed to go for 5 years that I have, and they go, they're probably not up to code, and they end up going out after a year or less. And so that just to illustrate the point that it's important to enforce the standards that we have, and this bill helps move us to that objective.
And I appreciate that, and that's an excellent close, Mr. Blumenfield, because by establishing standards, I know something about automobile standards, it incentivizes people to promote innovation. We have come up with amazing new ways to produce cars that are more energy efficient, save motorists money at the pump, and reduce our dependence on foreign oil. It's not the same analogy, but you do have to put in standards. You have to be reasonable, obviously. It has to be cost effective. That's required in any energy standards adopted by the Commission. And the goal is, again, to save money and be smarter in our use of energy. And with that, I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second, and that item is out on a B roll call.
Yeah. Very good. Senator Vargas, I see that you're in the audience. Come on down. Senator, you are presenting on 469. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members, for allowing me to present to you Senate Bill 469. SB 469 requires an economic impact analysis to be completed by a city or a county before a supercenter retail store can be approved. The cost of the study would be paid for by the permit applicant, not taxpayers. Nothing in this bill would prevent any community from deciding for themselves whether or not to build a supercenter. It would simply ensure that those decisions are made based on a factual analysis of the economic impact. This bill empowers cities to make the best decisions for their own constituents while giving cities complete flexibility on the final decision, irrespective of the findings of the study. The goal of this bill is actually very simple: to study the economic impact of a proposed superstore will have on the surrounding community's small and neighborhood businesses, jobs, property values, public services, tax revenues, traffic, and Main Street business districts. The California Business Association, the Neighborhood Market Association, the Southern California Independent Booksellers Association, and Small Business California, with hundreds of small businesses members around the state, have written letters of support. SB 469, I believe, is a modest approach to provide valuable information to local elected decision makers when making land use decisions affecting neighborhoods and small businesses around the state. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote. Mr. Chair, we do have people here, as you can see, to testify.
Very good. We'll take your first witness in support. Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Lorena Gonzalez, and I'm the Secretary-Treasurer of the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council. We're here in support of this bill and helped, in fact, craft this bill out of a coalition effort between small business, environmentalists, and labor in San Diego. We think it's a smart idea because it actually allows each local location to determine both the positives and the negatives of a supercenter coming in. There may be situations, like in food deserts, where we need fresh groceries, and that would be a mitigating circumstance. But there are many situations where we know that these supercenters put small businesses out of business and that they add to blight and wage depreciation in an area. We just want to know the facts. This does not prohibit a supercenter from opening. It just allows everyone, no matter what the resources of the local community, to know the facts. Thank you.
Very good. Next witness in support.
Barry Broad on behalf of the Teamsters and the United Food and Commercial Workers in support of the bill for the reasons before just stated by Ms. Gonzalez. I just will add that there are some hopeful preliminary discussions between the parties about the supporters and opponents. It's a big gulf to cross, but we're swimming around a little bit, so we're just like to let you know that, and you never know. Urgent aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness in support.
Mr. Chair, members, Caitlin Vega for the California Labor Federation. We think that with little state cost, this is something that can really help local communities do what's best in terms of preserving existing jobs, bringing in good jobs, and raising the standard of living for everyone. So we're here in strong support.
Thank you, members. Lori Kammerer, California Small Business California, and the Coalition of Small and Disabled Veteran Businesses. We represent about 5,000 small businesses in California. We are strongly in support of this bill. Thank you.
Additional witnesses in support?
Jordan Gomez, Planning and Conservation League, in strong support.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Joshua Golko with the California School Employees Association, also in support.
Good afternoon, Glenn Backus for Ella Baker Center for Human Rights Green Collar Jobs Campaign in support.
Very good. Any additional witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition?
Mr. Chair and members, Matthew Harg with the California Business Properties Association, here representing the International Council of Shopping Centers, the Building Owners and Managers Association of California, and NAOP of California. We oppose this bill on policy reasons. I do understand that there's some negotiations going on in the background, but we are very opposed to the fundamental policy of this bill. It does usurp the right of local governments to make their own decisions. It forces a statewide standard on all local governments and their land use decisions, and it's something that local governments can already do irrespective of this bill. This bill does not allow them to do anything. This bill forces them to do something. So for those reasons, we do oppose the bill. Thank you.
Next witness in opposition.
Amy Mago on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce in opposition.
Brian Lundgren on behalf of the Orange County Board of Supervisors in opposition.
John Moffitt on behalf of the City of Visalia in opposition.
Very good. Mr. Calderon.
Yeah, just a question. The economic impact analysis language, does it apply also to whatever regulatory action is taken, in mitigation? In other words, if you have an economic impact report, there'll be findings. Then a city or local jurisdiction will act based on those findings. Is that action then subject to an economic impact report in terms of how it affects the project? Or is it just the project itself?
For a second there, I thought you caught me in a tautology. I was trying to figure out what you were asking. Just so I understand, I think that you're asking, you do the economic impact statement. After you've done the economic impact statement, is there some further research on the impact of that economic impact statement?
Well, I assume there'll be things in mitigation. There'll be, to mitigate the economic impact, the city might impose certain obligations that change the equation.
Okay, I see. I believe I understand your question. The requirements of this bill are fairly simple. All that it says is that you have to do the economic impact statement, period. You can set aside the thing in toto at that point. All it does is inform you to make a decision. It doesn't require you to do anything. In fact, even if it came back and said that the impacts are going to be so dire in your community that it's going to drive the community into bankruptcy or whatever it is, you can still set those aside. You simply have to do the impact statement to know what you're going to be deciding. It does not require you to do anything beyond going through that impact statement, doing it so you can make an informed decision. That's all it requires.
Mr. Donnelly.
Yeah, I'm new to the legislature, and I'm a little bit slow here, so you got to work with me on this. But we're doing an economic impact statement of bringing a business, because we all know what this is about. I just had a Walmart come to my district, to Hesperia, where we have 20%, 25% unemployment. They're bringing 600 jobs. It doesn't take much math to figure out those 600 jobs with 2.5 million Californians out of work. There's no small businesses that we're going to be able to even survive there. They can't get any loans. So if a Walmart's coming into town, I want to welcome them. The economic impact is going to be jobs, and it's going to be prosperity to this region. When you can put 600 people to work, you can now support services. You can support local, all the other things that we need in our community that right now we can't afford. So what is the purpose of this bill at a time when we have 2.5 million Californians out of work? I don't understand why this is coming forth.
Through the chair, if I may respond, I would challenge your premise. I do not believe that, in fact, they create more jobs. I believe that ultimately they take jobs away. Just because you build a store doesn't mean you don't displace other people that have jobs. In fact, that's why you see a lot of the small businesses coming up and saying, when these things plop down in our community, they close down a lot of our businesses. A lot of those small businesses lose jobs. So some notion just because a large box, whether it is a Walmart or a Target or whatever it is, comes in, it's going to bring all these new jobs. You don't know how many it's going to displace. They're not bringing in new things. So, for example, they're not creating a new widget that you don't already have. They're just bringing in more Cheetos Well, someone's already selling Cheetos. They're just simply going to sell them now.
Well, I would simply posit that it's the disastrous regulatory climate that has wiped out a lot of the small businesses. So we actually need whatever businesses are willing to come. You know, we've already chased Amazon out of the state. So I think this is really going in the wrong direction. I think we should get on track for things that will bring jobs and prosperity to California and not chase it out. Thank you.
Very good, Senator. Any other questions for our Senator? Hearing and seeing none. Oh, Mr. Norby, I apologize.
When I sat on the Fullerton Redevelopment Agency, I remember when a Price Club was coming to town, our economic development director drew this huge circle around the Price Club and said, oh, it's going to bring in all these customers. They're going to shop there, and most of them were from Fullerton, and they were going to come from Albertsons and Alpha Beta, and it was a kind of a zero-sum game, as your bill suggests. So I think the issue of a supercenter is important. But they weren't just asking for land use permission. They were asking for out-of-pocket subsidies. They were asking for land write-downs. They wanted us to be a public-private partnership. And if the bill was restricted just to those supercenters, and there are a lot of them, I think Walmart nationwide has gotten over $1 billion in public subsidies, then I could be for it. But just strictly from a land use standpoint, if a business, super or otherwise, wants to buy land, do it with their own money, and they're just asking for permission, not any kind of economic subsidies, then I wouldn't be for it there. So I appreciate part of the spirit, but I think it goes too far.
Very good, members. Any additional questions for Senator Vargas? Hearing and seeing none. Department of Finance?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do not have an approved position on the bill. However, to the extent that this impedes the development of projects that include a superstore retailer, for example, this could reduce future sales tax revenue and also make the process more time-consuming.
Very good. Members, the bill has been properly moved and seconded. That measure is out on a B roll call. Thank you, Senator Vargas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members.
Very good. For the members of the audience, we will be getting ready to dispense with the suspense file. As we begin preparation for that, I do sort of want to remind folks that this is primarily a fiscal committee, so many of the decisions made here today are on the fiscal nature of the bills. Members, including myself, reserve the right to vote their conscience on the floor. And as we customarily do, we will hand out the different issue items and deal with them in a second. But if you just hold for about 4 minutes, we'll be ready to go.
Mr. Chair.
And just substitute.
Very good, members. May I have a motion and a second for, I'm sorry, SB 128, Lowenthal, Education, School Facilities Funding High Performance Schools, due pass. Members, can I have a motion? Very good. A second? Very good. We will substitute that motion prospectively. SB 132, Lowenthal, School Facilities. I'm sorry. And that's out on a B roll call. Very good. A little rusty here. We're good. Very good. Proceeding along here. SB 132, Lowenthal, School Facilities State Planning Priorities, Hold in Committee. SB 140 Lowenthal, instructional materials, do pass with amendments to delete the adoption of 8th grade mathematics materials, require SDE to use Title I carryover funds to implement this bill. Senate Bill 161, that's out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 161, Huff, Schools Administration of Diastat, do pass with amendments to require charter school and county offices of education comply with these provisions. 2, clarify SDE is not required to review plans as specified. That measure is out on a roll call, with Mr. Solorio not voting no. And the abstentions are Hall, Laura, and Campos. I need you. So, oh, very good. No, Ms. Campos, you're off? Okay, Ms. Campos is off. Senate Bill 185 Hernandez, authorize UC and CSU to consider specific demographic factors in student admissions. Do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 292 Padilla, require community college to accept credits earned by students at other community colleges. Do pass with an amendment to instead encourage community colleges to increase their acceptance of credits earned at other community colleges. That measure is out, with Republicans not voting. Senate Bill 300 Hancock, instructional materials and in content standards, do pass with amendments to delete the requirement to adopt the history social science curriculum framework and require the superintendent to convene a group of experts to review the science standards. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 361 Berryhill Center for Advanced Research and Technology, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 402 Correa Curriculum Frameworks, do pass as amended to delete the current language in the bill and replace it with provisions regarding billboards in Imperial County. Make the author Senator Vargas. That measure is out on a with Republicans not voting. Senate Bill 429 Delsanier, supplemental grants for before and after school programs, do pass with amendments to clarify grantees do not receive an increased supplemental grant. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 461 Blakesley High School Equivalency, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 473 Price Dropouts Recovery Programs, hold in committee. Senate Bill 547 Steinberg Public School Accountability, do pass with amendments to require an independent evaluation be conducted pursuant to an appropriation and require the SPI to report any additional data elements added to the EQI. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 600 Rubio requires schools to pre-qualify contractors and some subcontractors on certain projects, hold in committee. Senate Bill 611 Steinberg expands UC Curriculum Integration Institute, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 612 Steinberg extends the sunset of the California subject matter projects, do pass with amendments to add a 5-year sunset, require this bill not become operative unless there is funding provided for this purpose, and other technical amendments. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 645 Semidian Charter School Accountability and Facilities, hold in committee. Senate Bill 740 Hancock second grade testing, hold in committee. Senate Bill 753 Padilla California English Language Development Test, do pass with amendments to require a school district to only assess pupils once a year. Specify Section 2 of the bill is not operative unless written documentation from the federal government is received. That measure is out on a roll call. Senate Bill 779 Lieu Instruction in Personal Finances, hold in committee. Senate Bill 827 Lowenthal California Longitudinal Pupil Achievement Data System Advisory Committee, do pass with amendments to clarify appointments to the advisory committee. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 919 Lieu School Safety Sexting, that is held in committee. Very good, members. We are going to continue with Health and Human Services. Very good. Senate Bill 36, Semidian County Health Initiative Matching Fund, do pass as amended to add co-authors and make a clarifying change. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 4-3, Lieu CalFresh Employment and Training Program, do pass with amendments removing the self-initiated work fair program and maintaining the work requirement exemption for work surplus areas of the state. That measure is out, with Republicans not voting. Senate Bill 5-1, Alquist, state conformity to federal law, medical loss ratio, and benefit limits, do pass. That bill is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 173, Semidian, notification of breast density, held in committee. SB 222, Alquist's authorization of joint venture health plans, do pass. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 335, Hernandez, Medi-Cal hospitals quality assurance fee, do pass. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. A. Roll call. Senate Bill 336, Lieu emergency room crowding, do pass. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 408, Hernandez, hospital change of ownership, do pass as amended to refine which transactions are subject to a change of ownership and to strengthen enforcement. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 411, Price Home Care Services Act of 2011, do pass as amended to make DSS a regulatory agency, remove accreditation as a requirement of licensure, prohibit the use of GF and general fund, and further specify fee collection methodology, make other technical changes. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 416, Kehoe, collection of LGBT data and health surveys, do pass as amended to require data to be collected by 2015. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 538, Price, sunset extension of Board of Registered Nursing, do pass. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 539, Price, sunset extension for the Board of Vocational Nursing and Psychiatric Technicians, do pass. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 540, Price, sunset extension for the Dental Board, do pass. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 695, Hancock, Medi-Cal federal matching funds for county juvenile detention facilities, do pass. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 747, Kehoe, continuing education requirements for health professionals, LGBT patients, do pass with amendments to reduce DCA Board's cost of verifying compliance. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 866, Hernandez, standardized prior authorization forms for prescription drugs, do pass with technical amendments. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 930, in-home supportive services enrollment and fingerprinting requirements, do pass. That measure is out on a B. Roll call. Senate Bill 945, Hernandez, Medi-Cal electronic health records incentive program, do pass. Measure is out on an A. Roll call. All right, members, audience, we're on to criminal justice. Senate Bill 26, Padilla, curtailing unauthorized inmate cell phone use in prisons, do pass as amended to add urgency and co-authors. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. SB 57, internet address requirements for sex offenders, hold in committee. Senate Bill 61, Pavley, extends existing wiretapping authorization, do pass as amended to clarify current reporting requirements. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 124, De Leon, armor penetrating ammunition, hold in committee. Senate Bill 139, Alquist, random contraband prison searches, do pass as amended to delete report and IG oversight and add a 2-year sunset. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 179, Pavley, sex offender parole, do pass with technical clarifying amendments. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 360, Delsanier, controlled substance review and evaluation system, do pass. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 490, Hancock, death penalty, is a 2-year bill. Senate Bill 534, Corbett, sexual assault forensic exams, do pass with technical amendments. That measure is a roll call. Senate Bill 576, Calderon, sunset extension for determinate sentencing legal infirmity, do pass as amended to include technical correction restoring 15 to life penalty for rape in concert with great bodily injury that was inadvertently deleted in Chelsea's law in 2010. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 610, right concealed weapons permits, do pass as amended to make technical clarifying amendments. That measure is out on an A. Roll call. Senate Bill 819, Leno, use of dealer record of sale revenue, do pass. Measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 852, Harmon, corrections, victim notifications, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Very good. We're on to resources. Senate Bill 108, Rubio, surface. Very good. We're ready. Senate Bill 108, Rubio, surface mining idle. Apologize, members.
Thank you.
Very good, members. Do we all have our packets? Very good. SB 108, Rubio, surface mining, idle mines. Bad thing. Do pass is amended to require mine operators to be in compliance with mining laws and requirements before being a mine may be classified as idle. It's out on an A roll call. SB 215, Huff, invasive aquatic species, mussels, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 317, Rubio, Kings River Fisheries Management Program, do pass is amended to follow use of non-general fund, non-general obligation bond fund sources. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 369, Evans, Dungeness crab trap limit and task force extension, do pass is amended to give crab fishermen 2 years to secure a new boat without revocation of their permit under certain conditions and make technical amendments. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 436, Kehoe, nonprofit special district possession of funds for mitigation land management. Do pass is amended to include additional protections for the management of funds and additional third parties authorized to oversee organizations that hold funds for the management of mitigation lands. That measure is out. Sorry? With Republicans not voting. Senate Bill 482, Kehoe, transfer from the Department of Public Health to the State Water Resources Control Board, regulation of beach contamination monitoring. Do pass is amended to limit to $1.8 million amount from the Waste Discharge Permit Fund that may be used to implement the program and to charge DPH, consistent with existing law with ensuring public beach water quality is monitored. Measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 533, Right, AB 32 regulation process requirements, hold in committee. Senate Bill 551, DeSaulnier, state property, tidelands transfer, City of Pittsburgh, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 568, Lowenthal, subject, ban polystyrene foam food containers, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call with Mr. Hall not voting. Bradford not voting. Gatto abstaining.
Roll call.
Can you? Senate Bill 568, Lowenthal is on call. Senate Bill 679, Pavley, $25 million appropriation from the Renewable Resources Trust Fund to the Energy Conservation Assistance Account. Do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call with Mr. Donnelly voting no and Mr. Nielsen voting no. And Mr. Nielsen no. Senate Bill 771, Kehoe, California Alternative Energy and Advanced Transportation Financing Authority, expanded eligibility, do pass. Measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 833, Vargas, Gregory Canyon Landfill Prohibition, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call with Mr. Donnelly not voting and Mr. Norby not voting. Mr. Norby, no? Mr. Norby not voting.
Get you on the diastat.
The vote's been announced. It's done.
That's the diastat?
Well, I'm just telling you.
That's the T.
Very good, members. Are we ready to proceed with general and local government, business, housing, transportation, agriculture, jobs, and utilities? Everybody have their packets? Everybody have their packets? Very good. ACA 4, Blumenfield, local government financing, voter approval, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. ACA 12, Gato, statewide initiative measures, legislative amendment, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. SB 3, Padilla, extend sunset on surcharges to fund phone service in high-cost areas, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 29, Semidian, vehicles, automated traffic enforcement systems, do pass as amended to remove the requirement that an entity that contacts the registered owner of a vehicle to determine the identity of the driver, make owner aware that he or she is not required to provide the information. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 44, Corbett, establish gas pipeline emergency response standards, do pass with amendments striking meeting requirements, modifying definitions, and adding Mr. Hill as principal co-author. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 67, Price, requirements for small business participation in state contracts, hold in committee. Senate Bill 103, Lieu, requiring live internet streaming of state meeting open to the public, hold in committee. Senate Bill 120, Anderson, requiring state agencies to accept registered warrants for payments owed to them, hold in committee. Senate Bill 216, Yee, oversight of valve installation on intrastate natural gas pipelines, do pass with amendments striking definitions. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 223, Leno, voter-approved local assessment on vehicles, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call, with Mr. Gatto voting no. Senate Bill 293, Padilla, limits retention on public works projects to 5% for the state and local governments, do pass with clarifying amendment regarding contractors' bonding requirements. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 326, Yee, require courts to provide same-day public access to specify case filings, hold in committee. Senate Bill 340, Wolk, eliminating licensing requirements for remote caller bingo, hold in committee. Senate Bill 397, Yee, expedite availability of online voter registration subject to a specified conditions, do pass with author's amendment adding findings and declarations. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 405, Corbett, allow continued conversion of subordinate judicial officers to judgeships, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 450, Lowenthal, new requirements on redevelopment housing programs, do pass. That measure is out on a roll call. Senate Bill 457, Calderon, requiring workers' compensation to reimburse health insurance plans for the full cost of services, do pass with amendments limiting the bill to self-insured employee welfare benefit plans. That measure is out on a roll call. Senate Bill 460, Price, international trade marketing and promotion, hold in committee. Senate Bill 468, Kehoe, facilitate state-local coordination of North Coast Corridor project in San Diego County, do pass with clarifying amendments. Senate Bill, that measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 497, Rubio, provides a 5% preference on certain state contracts to contractors employing predominantly California workers, hold in committee. Senate Bill 517, Lowenthal, place high-speed rail authority with BT&H agency and modify board structure, hold in committee. Senate Bill 537, Correa, California Cadet Corps, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 543, Price, funding the Breeze automation project and exempting enrolled agents from certain licensure requirements, do pass with amendments removing the license exemption for enrolled agents. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 558, Semidian, lower the standard of proof in elder and dependent adult physical abuse cases to preponderance of the evidence, hold in committee. Senate Bill 570, Rubio, San Joaquin Valley Unified Air Pollution Control District, high polluter vehicles, school buses, do pass. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 618, Wolk, waiver of Williams Act penalties for solar use easements, do pass as amended. Amendments to require a reduced fee for canceling a Williamson Act contract. That measure is out on a roll call. Senate Bill 641, Calderon, allow for same-day voter registration at county elections offices, hold in committee. Senate Bill 643, Correa, providing cost-benefit information for building regulations, hold in committee. Senate Bill 651, Leno, eliminates some of the statutory differences between domestic partnerships and marriage, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 705, Leno, require development of plans for the safe operation of natural gas pipeline facilities, do pass with amendments striking definitions. That measure is out on an A roll call. Senate Bill 706, Price, enhancing enforcement at the Department of Real Estate, do pass with amendments removing the audit requirement. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 734, Price, small business outreach program and micro-business bid preference for the high-speed rail project, do pass with amendment deleting the micro-business bid preference. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 790, Leno, makes several changes regarding the formation and administration of community choice aggregators. Do pass with amendments striking the requirement that CCA costs for system reliability be proportional to the benefits received, and instead requiring the PUC to allocate costs in a fair and equitable manner. 2, affirming the CCAs are solely responsible for generation procurement except as otherwise expressly authorized by law. And thirdly, modifying provisions regarding environmental attributes and allowing a CCA to resubmit an amended proposal for administering public purpose programs following PUC rejection of an initial CCA proposal. That measure is out. On an A, roll call. Senate Bill 823 Corbett, creating a Made in California program, holding committee. Senate Bill 861 Corbett, prohibit companies found in violation of federal law regarding the Democratic Republic of Congo and conflict minerals disclosure from seeking state contracts. Do pass. That measure is out. On a B, roll call. Senate Bill 923, adopting RB-RVS fee schedule for workers' compensation. Do pass with amendments requiring the initial RB-RVS schedule to be cost neutral and phase in the reimbursement rate changes over 3 years. That measure is out. On an A, roll call. Senate Bill 939 repeals the remittance of gas charge, surcharge collections from the IOUs to the BOE, holding committee. Senate Bill SCA 7 Yee, requiring every public body to provide notice of meetings and actions, holding committee.
Because he's Colin's got to come in twice. Because God damn it, I only want to take one or two. It's old Greenfield and Colin. Black people are playing out with some justification. This is not helping you do this.
I get it.
Yeah.
Members, everybody have the sheet on revenue and taxation? Very good. SB 164, Semidian, extends the personal income tax checkoff for the State Children's Trust and Rare and Endangered Species Preservation Program. Do pass. That measure is out. On an A, roll call. Senate Bill 364 Yee imposes a penalty for firms to take an income tax credit and then the number of employees. Do pass. That measure is out. On a B, roll call. Senate Bill 583 Vargas, reauthorization of the personal income tax checkoff for the ALS Lou Gehrig's Disease Research Fund. Do pass. That measure is out. On an A, roll call. Before we proceed to labor, we will be taking a 3-minute recess. All right, members, we are going to resume with our final packet. Mr. Davis, you have a question or comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to my earlier conversation, in our last packet, I would like to pull SB 776 for roll call vote.
Very good. We'll take that up at the end, then we'll go ahead and take 776 at the end, Mr. Davis. All right, we will proceed with Senate Bill 294, Price, Emerging Investment Plans for Public Employees Retirement Systems, do pass. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 299, Evans, Pregnancy Leave, do pass with amendments to require the collective agreements of state agencies govern maternity coverage specified in this bill. That measure is out on a B roll call. Senate Bill 698, Lieu, Federal Workforce Investment Act and high-performing local boards do pass. That measure is out on a roll call. Senate Bill 903, Anderson, Iran Investments of Public Retirement Systems, holding committee. Mr. Davis, we're going to take the last item, which is Senate Bill 776. Dosanjay, you wanted to make a motion, I understand?
Yes, I did. We call for a roll call vote on SB 776.
Very good. Members, is there a second to overrule the chair's desire to not have a roll call? Is there a second? Hearing and seeing none, would you like to second the motion, Mr. Hall?
He did. He did second it.
I certainly don't want to overrule the chair's request.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Very good, Mr. Davis. Mr. Donnelly has seconded your motion to overrule the chair. That measure is defeated on a C roll call. Senate Bill 776, Dosanjay, Workforce Investment Act and Training, do pass with amendments to remove authorization for the state WIA board to increase minimum percentages, remove language related to not accessing WIA discretionary funds, other technical amendments. That measure is out on a B roll call with
A C roll call.
with Mr. Davis voting no.
What's on which issue now?
776, sir, the one that you made the motion on.
Yeah, because I want
No, there's no debate, sir. It's you're voting no on it.
Because of the long-term
Very
employed
good.
people in my district, absolutely
So no. Mr. Hall is a no. Mr. Hall is off. Mr. Bradford is off. Ms. Mitchell is not voting. That measure is on call.
That's it. That's the one.
Members, who would like to move the consent file? That's easy. Very good. All right. Well, it's been moved by Mr. Blumenfield, seconded by Mr. Lara. Well, are you voting for 776? No. Seconded by Mr. Lara. That the consent calendar is out on an A roll call.
Okay. Whether she misfucked her in the primary.
I didn't. We supported her.
Well, good.
But didn't she run for something else?
No. She said if she doesn't have a district, she'll get a job. I talked to her with friends.
Oh, good. Because I'm glad to hear that.
But she'll run again if she has a district.
Our guys just they're really feeling ornery. They just last night confirmed that Manning has disendorsed.
Good for them. I won't mention that I represent you guys when I go see you.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't get what the fuck's going. I mean, so first of all, the health consultant. This is. And I'm going to go ask Jeff about this. And then they were like, so half the health codes we're not even taking out. So like, what the fuck is that?
They didn't defeat them or silence them held with committees, and they're just 2-year bills.
Yeah,
That's what happens, right?
Yes, I understand that, but you know, even though one of them is the pro temp, and this is news to him.
Well, I want to just tell you that the pro temp
So that's
what's happening.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I knew somebody who was
Hello?
It's part of the reason I came back. One of them was maternity.
Oh my gosh.
What?
There's so Christy.
It's okay.
All right, members, we are going to resume with the last item, Senate Bill 776, to Sagne Workforce Investment Act and Training. The measure fails. All right, members, that it concludes the business before our committee. Thank you very much for your participation and attendance. What about 568? We're going to go back to, I'm sorry, I apologize. Lowenthal 568 is on call.
Was I here to vote on that?
You hated it last year when I had to.
Yeah, but there's three, right?
So he was still short.
No, I'm
Who's
up.
out?
Yeah, even if you call me, we're missing.
Separate discussion.
Okay, but I wasn't in the room to vote on a roll call, but I'm up.
There's no roll call.
Oh, yeah, they stayed off.
Well, so Paul?
Let's get it out of here anyway.
On Lowenthal 568, Ms. Campos, not voting to aye.
Mr. Chair, on 568, I will give a courtesy yes, just for discussion on the floor, but I reserve the right to change my vote.
Thank you, Ms. Campos. That measure is out. All right, members, that does conclude our business now. Thank you very much. That failed, I announced it. We're adjourned.